All right. All right. So my screen is visible now, right?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay. I'm really sorry for having a network issues at my end. Uh, there is a rain coming along, and my Wi-Fi has not been working properly. So we have completed the creator why to create the user stories. Is there any doubt in this? Please be collaborative so that I can be able to understand. Okay, this part has been completed. Might be my voice is breaking, so please do let me know. Is
Uh,
it
yeah, yeah, your voice was breaking a little bit, but yeah, we can understand from yeah, little bit we understood here.
so? This part is being covered. So till now, is there any issues in this?
Not for now.
All right, all right.
Yes,
Okay, thank you so much. So can shall we move forward, right?
yes, we can. Yes.
Okay. So in this particular slide, we will be looking into how do we create a user stories basically. So you can see in this slide that this particular diagram is looking into the equation which says that as I and I want, and then we have so that. Okay, so let's look into the slide, and then it says that if I am facing some kind of issues, that right now, as there is a rain and I want to connect with you all, but I'm not getting a proper internet connection, so that I joined the meeting from my mobile phone. So that's how I just created a new user stories. Right. So in that particular equation gives you an idea how to build a user story, right? So first you have to make sure that as a, so that particular word gives you an idea to whom we have to cover in this particular user stories, why we are building this particular user stories, for whom, right? Who is the user? So each and everything related to the user or the client or the stakeholder will be completed in this particular as a sentence. And then we have a next equation which says that I want. So I want gives you an idea what are the intentions, right? What are we going to build? And this is what exactly we needed. So these kind of intentions and the idea about what we are going to build or what exactly I needed. So that thing is being written in terms of I want. Once it's been done, we move forward with the third line, so that because we are clear about who we are going to build, then we have what exactly I needed. Then we will look into the customer point of view, that if once it's been done, so what exactly the outcome will be, right? This is, they say why, right? Why we are going to build it, what exactly the value for that particular customer. In the particular slide, you can see there are equations. So try to think in that scenario. uh, just I make the one user stories right away, that as a rain is happening, and I want to conduct this meeting and connect with you, so that I join the meeting from my mobile phone. So this is what exactly the user stories are. Just I created the new user stories, and you can build some kind of another user stories. Think about in the scenario where people is uh, working on a bank or working on a industry, right? So let's suppose, as an internet banking customer, I wanted to, get a everyday account informations, so that I can keep a track on my expenditures or whatever I have, uh, transact on, what are my transactions are. So that's how you build a user stories with these three sentences, three words, right? In terms of software development or in terms of admin, you can say that as an admin, I want to be able to create certain, project for the people, so that I can delegate those tasks more effectively, right? So following this kind of equations, we make sure that user stories have all those kind of check boxes completed. Is there any doubts? Because the thing is, like, if we are just creating the, user stories based on the three sentences only, as a, I want, so that. Okay, so all those checklists is that, whether you are, writing it in a short manner, whether we are keeping it them simple, whether we are writing in terms of, users, or you can say, in terms of personas of users, right? Because we have to write it from the perspective of the user, right? So whether this particular thing is being done, okay, we click on that checkbox. Then we have to look into the value, whether this is giving a value or benefit to the client. Is the story is being clear? What is the reason of this stories? Each and everything is being covered. Checkbox done. Okay, and then we will look into the another thing, that okay, this will have to be a one piece functionality, because you have to break down each and every stories into, smaller subtask, and you are going to write it with the help of different team involved in it, right? So you have to make sure that each and every thing is being completed. Okay, so you can think in this perspective that, my task is being completed, my user stories is being completed. So basically, tasks give you how to do it, but user stories is what exactly we need to do. So user stories focus on the what part, and the task is focus on the how part, right? So it gives you an understanding about, uh, how the particular process is going to be divided into smaller steps, right? And on the another part, you can say a task will give you a piece of work for the individual. Is there any doubt or queries?
So the user story, is there any condition like only this much words should be there in a user story, or it will be only one sentence, or how would it be? It's
It
like
will
one
be,
paragraph
yeah,
sentence.
it will be, it has to be small, because this is not being related to the requirement. They don't go into the detail at all. They are just a few sentences, as I told you in the beginning, right? They are just a few sentences, right, which has to be written into the terminologies of the perspective of the end customers. So as a, I want, and so that, this is it, because we are not going into the details.
Okay.
The requirement for this particular user stories
Mhm.
will be added once we have a full understanding about the requirement, and each and every team member has agreed upon the same requirement. Then we add those kind of requirement into this particular user stories. But initially, they has to be simple, or they has to be small enough to understand what exactly the desired outcome will be. So this is it.
Okay.
The three
Mhm.
sentences or the equation will give you a complete explanation about the features related to the software, related to the process, each and everything. Because you have to be small. User stories has to be small enough in order to understand the end result.
Okay. It's
And
got it.
see that the thing is, I have taken care of the informal thing, right? uh, the example which I
Mhm.
just mentioned you, as a internal banking, right? Or as a,
Mhm.
what the next example which I have given you, the admin side,
Salesforce.
right?
Yeah,
So
admin. Yes.
So being an admin, I want to make sure that my function has been working fine, and so that each and every one will be able to solve that thing. So being an admin, this is what I needed. The end result is being cleared.
Okay.
That is written into the
Oh,
informal way, right?
okay. So for if we got one project, we had to write both job story and also the user story, right?
Yes. Because the thing is, like, job stories gives you a real time experience.
Yeah,
How,
situation and yeah,
right?
outcome. Yes.
And even in the terminologies of user stories, you can say that how they will get a end result,
Okay, got it. Yes.
right? Because once
Yeah.
you start into the agile framework, you notice these things, that the user will be a center, and you the approach is being user centric, right? But
Yes.
it might be focused on, coding side or designing side in order to deliver those kind of real value to your users. But that has to be a user centric, and these two things, the job stories and user stories, give those kind of experiences in order to make sure that yes, customer is a centric person,
Okay.
because they are the
Yes.
essential part. They gives you all those KPIs or all those metrics, right?
Yes, it's clear now.
The main aim, you can understand in the terms of layman language, the main aim of this particular work is to give, full understanding about the customer perspective, you can say, because what exactly they needed. Once we are going to build this particular product for the customer, how they will work on it, what they will be going to feel it. So in terms of their personas, we get an idea that okay, this is has to be done. In my previous, let me give you an example. In my previous organization, we were working on a feedback form, which has to be, a offline feedback form, and sync with the Salesforce. But the customer, the we are the customer in terms of that particular product which we needed to build from the third party, and that third party is not even understanding what exactly the offline mode, and how we will be, taking all the records offline. So they have not understanding our requirement. They didn't even, get a full detail about what we needed, and then they start building their product without having, full understanding. They started building the end results. So in the real experiences, the personas, they didn't even looked into those things. They didn't even looked into the requirement. So that's what, the project got failed. So these kind of terminologies which I'm talking about right now, the user stories, job stories, requirement, these are the terminologies which help you to make sure that okay, you are now able to understand the customer requirement. And then once these things is been cleared, based on the conversation, based on the meetings, and basically we have to make sure that this has to be a customer centric, because we are working on that particular customer oriented process. So these functionalities gives a full understanding about the work which we have to build, which we have to clear, which we have to work upon, because they will give you why we have to do it, whom we needed to involve, why we are going to build, what will be the end result. Each and every questions is being cleared while doing these kind of things. And even I recall one thing, that user stories always a great fit for an invest. It's a acronym for uh, invest is the acronym for independent, negotiable, valuable, estimable, small, and testable. Yeah, I got it. So independent, it's like this has to be developed in sequence, and if something is being changed from the previous step, then it should not impact or affect other steps. And what exactly the next? The negotiation. Yeah. So negotiation is like, we have to decide how to implement that, right? Because the thing is like we are working on an agile platform environment, you can say. So this, there should be a changes coming along. So there should be no rigid process. This has to be, in the terminologies of adjustment, you can say. And then in terms of valuable, we can say that what exactly we are going to deliver to the customer, to the end users. And then invest, e is for estimable. Estimable is like, how much we have completed, what are the things which is be needed, and what exactly we have covered, and what are the remaining things, like the time being, because we are working on a timeline, right? Invest, s is for small, because the thing is like, again, small, it should be small to understand by each and every person. But while we are designing something, while we are coding something, while we are testing something, has to be, you know easily understood by other people as well. Whatever document we are writing, they are being able to understand by non-tech people as well. And then the last one was the test, or you can say testable. So that means you are having a full understanding about how the particular process is being completed, and from where we have to check mark that okay, this has been done. These are the things which we have to test. So yeah, invest is like independent, negotiable, valuable, estimable, small, and testable. I just recall this particular thing. Even I have not an idea that I will be covering this part as well. So, is there any doubt?
It's clear now. Yes.
All right, thank you so much. So there are a few things as well while writing the user stories, and you can see in the slide that there are 5 steps basically which are essential while writing a particular user stories. And those 5 steps are like, first we have to ensure that what are the criterias. We have to set those criterias because we are going to build it for the client, right? And in terms of the client personas, we looked into all those check boxes that okay, this has been done, this has to be done, these are the things which we have to take care of, and each and everything should be fulfilled in terms of customers. In that particular thing, we have acceptance criteria. Tomorrow, sorry, tomorrow we will be looking into the acceptance criteria and what are their checklists. Okay, so acceptance criteria is a part where we will be accept user stories based on certain checklists. So tomorrow we will be looking into the acceptance criteria, but just for today you can understand okay, there are checklists. Based on that checklist, we have to ensure that okay, this has been done, these are the things which we have to cover. There is a checklist. Based on those checklists, we will you know ensure each and everything is being covered. Then based on the personas, as we have been talking since the beginning, that we have to make sure that user is the center person. And how we can ensure that thing? With the help of surveys, with the help of some focus group. Focus groups are the closed kind of people, those who are intelligent enough to give certain kind of outcomes or certain kind of ideas while building a user stories or while building a process. So these kind of things has to be taken care of by deciding on the user personas. And how we can particularly do that? Based on these surveys, focus group, and even sometimes we have to read the user forum as well, right? Because this will gives us an idea to analyze the data and their pattern, right? What they are doing, how they are doing, and that kind of thing will be gives us an identity to make sure that okay, now I can understand what exactly my customers are. Then you have to create the task. break down all those things into a small steps, into more manageable steps, you can say, right? Because you have to ensure that okay, within this particular timeline I have to cover this. And being a complex requirement, no one can able to understand it. That's why you have to ensure that there are tasks and subtasks, and that has to be detailed oriented, so that each and every one can align with your particular task or particular requirement. And then you have to map your user stories into a particular process, right? Like we have talked about the business process mapping in our previous days. So in those kind of diagrams, we are mapping each and every stages, right? So that is what I'm talking right now, that you have to map each and every stage to your particular steps in terms of your, personas of the client. That in this particular case, user stories will take a order steps. This has been done, then now this is the step which we have to cover. So these will be in terms of ordered, first, second, third, these kind of things, right? Then once each and everything has been completed, you have to request for the feedback, because you have to look for the improvement, right? And how we can do it? While speaking with the customers, you can understand what exactly they want, ask for their opinion, right? If there are any suggestion for your features or for your product, for your process, anything, right? But look for the feedback, because this will give you an understanding to create your user stories. Till now, is there any doubt? All right. So we have been looking into the steps. We have covered how do we write the user stories. We have also talked about why user stories are needed to be created at the first place. And we have also looked into the user stories introductory part. But now, what are the consideration while writing this particular user stories? So there are few things which has to be considered while writing our user stories. So first one is defining a definition of done, or you can say defining a particular task to be done, right? Done means like you have completed that particular thing. So how you can ensure that this has been done? So you should give an outline that till this particular timeline I have to complete this particular task. And what exactly the task is? Okay, let me think in this way, that I have to build a button is what I have to create. This is my task. Okay, so this has to be in outlined. Once I have been completed my to creation of the button, then I can say okay, my button is completed and I have covered this part. So this is what the definition of done means. This gives you, or this ensurety about what exactly has to be done. Okay, so definition of done is the first part which we have to consider. Then outlining each and every task or their subtask, because defining each and every specific steps which we have to complete, we are also defining who all are the people responsible for those particular tasks, right? So first one was like defining the done thing, that okay, I have to complete the button and within this particular time. But once button has been done, how can I ensure that okay, this is the done thing? So you have to outline that particular task. And then while outlining the task and subtask, we are also ensuring that okay, who are the people, those who are responsible for particular thing. And then again, user personas is like customers personas, for whom we are for whom we are going to build it for the client, build it for the customer team, anyone, right? And then ordered step is like each and every steps which needed to be covered during the larger process. Then we have talked about the listen feedback in the previous slide itself, that talk to your customer and capture all those problems which can be covering each and everything during your process, right? So no need to guess your user stories at this particular time. You just need to look for the feedback, so that you should have an understanding what are the things which we needed an improvement. And then the last thing is time. So time is the one more majority of the people are not able to understand how and when we have to complete this particular task. So without going into the project creep, you should have a time as a touchy subject, because you has to take care upon your estimation of your framework. And in this particular time, which is not been which not been happening in the day-to-day process, this has to be ensured that my task is being completed within month, within week, or within a quarter or anything. But it has to be broken up into smaller stories and consider the timeline. So this is how we can ensure that user stories is being done, and I have what I want, right? So as a customer, I can think what exactly we needed to build and what exactly I want, so that I can cover the particular thing and get the value for the customer. With this particular consideration, we also covered all those things related to the user stories. The consideration part has been completed, the steps has been completed, how to create those user stories, and what are the particular simple step to create a user stories, the equations, and why we have to create it. So with this, we have completed the user stories part till now. But might be tomorrow we have certain things to take care of, there might be another things to look into. I have just covered these things, and the thing which we will be starting from is the acceptance criteria, experience is basic, and their debug log. Is there any issues and queries? Please do let me know. Is there any issues or queries? All right. So coming to our deadline again. So we will be looking forward to complete this particular acceptance and user stories by 15th. And I believe if something not comes up, we will be trying to close this particular course within our timeline, the 20th July, because we have covered almost each and everything. So, what are the areas which we have focused till now? The first one was the customer side, the stakeholder side, the theoretical part basically, and also looked into the tools and technologies involved in the business side. So, with this, we can wrap today's session. Is there any doubt? Please do let me know. Any queries?
Thank you so much, Naman. Yeah, everything was clear today.
I must say that these are the pretty easy things, but at least you should have an clear understanding about all those things, because they will be helpful in your day-to-day life if you are going into the business analyst, right?
Yes.
So with this,
Thank you.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you so much. We will be looking forward to meet you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.